Welcome back to the #1 place on YouTube to get all of your conspiracy theory related news. Now let's get after it.
Okay, you know how Iran just allegedly, some hackers struck a company called Stryker, which is like a medical company in the United States? It was a cyber attack, right? Well, many people are actually preparing for the real potential of a cyber attack because that's what's being purported right now. But many people are pointing out the interesting situation that happened 7 years ago when Klaus Schwab said this.
Sufficient attention.
Sufficient, not insufficient.
The frightening scenario for comprehensive
Cyber attack.
which would bring to a complete halt the power supply.
That would not be good.
Hospital services, our society as a whole.
Now, we may have just got an inkling of this from Iran expands war with major cyber attack against U.S. company. A logo of an Iran-linked group appeared on devices of employees of medical technology giant Stryker. Now, apparently Stryker, by the way, makes neurotechnology. That kind of sounds like, what is that, brain implantable microchipping action? I'm pretty sure. But anyways, are we seeing slowly a warming up? The pot is slowly getting warmer of the water inside of it towards a actual legit cyber attack. Which, by the way, isn't it insane that like 60, 70, 80 years ago, there could be a cyber attack, nothing would be matter, it wouldn't even do nothing. But now we're so dependent on this entire technological system, payments, food. No one grows their own food anymore. We got to go to the grocery store. You see what I'm saying? Things changed pretty rapidly. But let me know if you think one might be coming around the corner or not, or if they're just kind of trolling us.
Personally, I think it has never been so seemingly obvious that there is something dark on the horizon. There's either a cyber attack or some false flag event that's planned for the near future. You can almost literally feel it in the air. And of course, all of this is merely speculation, but when you look at all of the evidence that we're going to see in today's video, it feels like you would be ignorant to think that there wasn't something headed our way. It doesn't even feel like they're trying to hide it.
Let me first start this video by saying, don't be alarmed. I got an interesting one for you today for anyone in Dallas, Texas. First, let me say that I haven't heard anything strange about Dallas pertaining to what I'm getting ready to tell you guys. But I do want to help you guys keep your eyes open and understand that no billion-dollar corporation will ever do a practice run for no reason. So with that being said, Dallas, Texas, did you guys hear about Walmart? What they did right here in Dallas? Well, Walmart did a practice disaster relief run at a local Walmart. And when people were freaking out and saying, well, what's going on? What's all the commotion? They said it was a practice run. Me, I don't think that, like I said, a multi-billion-dollar corporation would do a practice disaster relief run for no reason. So, haven't heard anything, but keep your eyes open and understand that, hey, it's a movie.
Not only would they not do this unless they had a good reason to be doing it, but how many times after some major catastrophe have we found documentation showing that, for example, the World Health Organization or the World Economic Forum put on some sort of simulated event that identically mirrored what we lived through? I guess at this point, all we really need to do is watch and see what takes place in Texas. And if something happens in Texas that directly mirrors whatever this practice scenario is that they're so-called preparing for, especially considering that Walmart has stores in basically every state of the U.S., then we can be pretty certain that they had a heads up before it took place. And if that happens, then we'll pretty much know it was not an organic situation. We'll know it was a scenario that was intentionally constructed.
So did you guys hear this? Larry Silverstein, Lucky Larry, just acquired US Bank Tower in LA. So for all of my LA people, for all the people who may work at US Bank Tower in Los Angeles, just a little advice, you can heed it if you'd like to or not. I would suggest that maybe now would be the time to start working remotely.
Get ready for a false flag event. I'm warning that there's going to be a false flag attack. Another 9/11 that's going to unite the people to support this war.
Israel would like us to commit ground troops, obviously, but it would take a lot to get us to do that. It would take some sort of terror attack in the United States, probably like 9/11, in order for us to do that.
Iran wants to strike the U.S. homeland, possibly launching attack drones.
Iranian drone attack off the West Coast.
The threat of drone strikes on the Golden State.
A second World Trade Center attack is going to happen again, and it's not going to be in New York. it is going to be in California, and it's going to be the U.S. Bank Tower, because Larry Silverstein owns the U.S. Bank Tower in Los Angeles. This is the same person that made $4.5 billion in insurance after 9/11. And he ate every single day at the Twin Towers on the 91st floor of the North Tower. On the day of, he was not there. That was the only day Silverstein was not in the Twin Towers.
Disturbing news. Trump White House officials are scrambling to walk back a report that the FBI warned California law enforcement about a possible surprise drone attack from Iran on the West Coast.
For obvious reasons, we need to be careful when discussing this specific event. They still don't want anyone talking about it and figuring out what actually took place, even though the majority of us have a pretty good idea. But when the guy who owned the first building seemingly got away with something once and appears to view himself as an untouchable, as well as those who would be willing to prosecute view him as an untouchable, and then we get all these reports about a potential attack headed toward California, and right in the midst of all this, that same guy purchases a building that's considered to be the tallest in the state of California, and it's one of their most important buildings. The pieces of the puzzle kind of put themselves together.
Did you guys hear what Ted Cruz just said when being interviewed about what's going on right now in the United States with sleeper cells? And this is making a lot of people not want to be in a super hyper densely populated situation, event, place with a lot of people for obvious reasons right now. Listen to this.
Are you concerned about sleeper cells? There's been discussion of that.
Look, the risk of terrorism right now is quite high. There is a heightened danger of terrorism right now, and I will say it is particularly indefensible that Democrats have shut down the Department of Homeland Security.
It's always Democrats versus Republicans. They always make it seem like that.
The Department of Homeland Security, the danger has never been higher than right now, particularly after 4 years of open borders under Joe Biden. We know that.
So people are sounding the alarm, wondering if something is about to happen. And of course, the reason I'm saying that the Dems, blah, 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 because they're always making it, as opposed to, here's the real plan that's going on. They'll never tell you that. They have to always make it seem like it's those Republicans, it's those Democrats. So we're a two-party system, two wings of the same bird, and you're thinking of that rather than what it could be the grand plan here. Of course, a wide open border has many different issues. I'm sure there's some pros to it, but there are issues to that 100%. Anyway, keep your head on a swivel. That's the last thing we need next to a cyber attack, because they're talking about that too. Stay tuned for my next video because we're talking about cyber attack.
It's gotten to the point that it's just infuriating to hear any of these politicians speak anymore. I honestly don't even know why we ask them questions. All they do is lie and deflect and try to make it the next guy's fault. And yeah, I'm sure that there's Democrats who need to shoulder some of the blame here. But the bottom line is, even if we had an entire country full of potential sleeper cells, if we hadn't have went to an unnecessary war and started blowing up their home country, they probably wouldn't be itching to destroy us right now. If we hadn't done that, maybe instead they would all just be focused on all the fraud that they're enjoying while they steal our tax dollars. All I know is it is long past time for us to just replace every single politician. We need to replace them all across the board. I can literally only think of maybe 2 politicians that actually seem like they're trying to do something for the benefit of the American people. And both of them are constantly battling the media to defend their name from remarks by our president. We need to just replace them all.
So I'm trying to show her it takes about 30 minutes and the water is going to be dry. The plane is so dry that when you fly, please drink water. The plane is really dry on a 2-hour flight. This isn't like you're a dryer. Like you put clothes in the dryer at your house when you wash and then you dry clothes. And a dryer you put in for like 40 minutes. This is not even, we're sitting inside of a dryer. It's super bad. And so I'm doing this to show Angela. I'm doing this to show Angela that it's very dry. And in about 30 minutes, my pants will be dry.
Do we we have anyone watching who understands this? Because I came across this morning, and for one thing, that guy looks like he's sitting in a dryer. His face is so flush, it looks like it's 115 degrees in that plane. But is this intentional, and is it a safety thing, or is this something that we should all be worried about if we get on a plane? And I'm just casually curious about this because I likely won't ever be getting on a plane again for the rest of my life anyways. It's not really safe to fly anywhere outside of the country right now, and I'm not going to wait in line for 7 hours to go through a TSA check so that I can fly 2 states away. I'll just rent a car and drive. But I'm curious what the purpose is here, and if it's necessary for plane safety, or if this is something nefarious that they're intentionally doing to passengers.
There have been constant reset wars since the fall of Rome, and civilization was much more advanced then. Kingdoms developed organic drone armies and drone workforces. Look. Organic AI, aka slaves. The slave armies eventually revolted. The Huns extorted Rome and were a big contributor of the fall. This was a big part of the migration period where barbarians took over Europe. These are all invasive barbarians. These are not Aboriginal Europeans. War is sexual. It always ends up in crossbreeding. War means confusion, and genetic confusion is a big part of that. Charlemagne is the barbarian king that modern Europeans descend from. Look. That is, of course, if he actually existed. He might just be a concept for the barbarian takeover or represent a group of people. As you can see, the timeline never adds up, and there's much more than 300 years being added. Look. Charlemagne was a barbarian related to the Normans. The fallen Anglos and other barbarians took over brown-skinned Britain, and Britain became completely normalized in the Norman conquest, a drone or clone takeover. That's why Ben Franklin said Europe is swarthy and the drones or clones were the minority by the late 1700s. Then we get the Crusades because the so-called Holy Land is a major choke point for trade, followed by all these other reset wars. Just constant reset wars. It's really been a constant world war for hundreds of years. And the English paid the Prussians to fight France to destroy France's wealth. This made England the superpower of the world. The Revolutionary Wars brought us conscription and total war, which means they started drafting people and destroying everything, not just military installations. The Civil War is a great example of total war. This wasn't a war, they were just destroying the history. Then more reset wars. The revolutions across Europe in 1848 were slave uprisings. It was an attempt to push out the remaining quadroon and mulatto-looking leadership. And again, we have this theme of controlling the supposed Holy Land choke point. That's all the Crimean War was, a choke point war. Same wars being fought today. The 1848 slave uprisings or revolutions are what caused the Franco-Prussian War. This is what caused World War I. World War II is an extension of World War I. The Franco-Prussian War set up the scramble for Africa. A Prussian and a Belgian carved up Africa, setting the stage for World War I. They reset Europe, Asia, and Africa, and they were all selling opium together. And everybody in World War I was cousins. The Bolsheviks reset Russia, and Lawrence of Arabia reset the Middle East. So Britain and France carve up the Middle East so there will be perpetual conflict. So World War II starts in Poland to get Prussia back. And it's funny, the English are just Germans. World War I and II set up the wars of 47 and 48, which are the same wars as today. Then they collapse China into communism to set it up to be a rival today. Then we get dozens of isn't real wars. Look. Which brings us to today. These are mass cullings and financial reset wars. World War has slowed down but has never stopped. These wars are used to control the breeding and general flow of creativity.
When you see the collective history of wars that this world has gone through in the past 1,000 years, it starts to suspiciously look like this whole thing was one big chess game. And when you can fit every single war into this game as its own individual chess move, it starts to become very difficult to not see our current situation as just another chess move. Because we're always told that all of these wars had to take place because XYZ happened. But when you stop and look at all of these wars as a whole, it starts to make it seem like maybe X, Y, and Z didn't even take place, and we were just told that it did. That way we would all get on board with all of these wars. And we've all seen in the past couple of decades just how often it is that we're lied to get us into a war. And then you stop and look at the war that we're involved in now and how there doesn't seem to be any logical reason for it. We're not even being given a good reason as to why we're involved in this war. And although in the past they've all fought really hard to try to get public sentiment to get on board with all of this stuff, now it doesn't seem like they're that concerned really with how the public views what they're doing. So that would tell me that they're not really concerned with what the public thinks. And so that kind of implies to me that they're making their final moves in this so-called chess game. They think they've come too far to be stopped, and they're about to put their opponent in checkmate. Only the opponent is us.
What if there was an archaeologist who discovered the blood of Jesus, but he took it to the wrong lab?
They said, Mr. Wyatt, this human blood only has 24 chromosomes in it. Everybody else has 46. You see 23 from your mother, 23 from your father, 22 autosomes from your mother, 22 autosomes from your father. You get an X from your mother, you may get an X or a Y from your father, all right? This blood had 23 chromosomes from the mother's side, one Y chromosome only. You see, the child could not have developed if they hadn't had the autosomes from the mother. So all of his physical characteristics were determined by his mother's side of the family, her autosomes. His maleness was determined by this one Y that came from a source, not a human male. Then they said, this blood is alive. And then they said, whose blood is this? I said, it's the blood of your Messiah.
I went through a lot to find that video because it's been scrubbed from a lot of archives, and I find that weird if he's just another crazy scientist. Anyways, this is my driver, and I don't know, that's the most compelling piece of modern evidence that I've seen. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyways, let's smash it. Oh, I almost knocked it off the tee.
If this is true, that is absolutely insane. And honestly, I don't have any reason to doubt the guy. He seemed like he was genuinely moved by talking about this. And we know that a lot of Jesus's blood was left around here because they tried to spill every drop of it. So it would only make sense that some of it stuck around. And it would make sense that with it being the blood of Christ, it would survive after all this time. Let's not forget that it had healing abilities. Recall the soldier who sticks the spear into Jesus' side while he's hanging on the cross, and when the blood spills into his eyes, it cured his blindness. That doesn't sound like normal blood to me. But what do you all think? This is the first time I've actually heard about this. And I've heard about this Ron Wyatt before, but only in the sense that he supposedly discovered the location of Noah's Ark, which I'm still kind of on the fence about because we still haven't gotten any actual evidence that it's there aside from stories that are quickly debunked. Like, I don't know why they don't send out that equipment that they use to scan those areas under the pyramids with and scan the inside of that mountain and see if there's any kind of structure under there. And maybe that's been done and I just haven't seen it, but I've looked for it and I couldn't find it. But what do you all think about this? But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to drop your theories and your comments in the comment section down below. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.